good to be back. I missed you all last week. I had a great time in Seattle. We were in class from 9 in the morning until 8 at night with breaks for lunch and dinner. And it was I'm still sort of trying to integrate all the wonderful information that I received there. And you'll be, I'm sure, hearing about and experiencing more of the things that I learned and that are appropriate for our community as we sort of phase them in. But right now we're building our foundation. That's the theme for this month, building our foundation. And so we've been talking about the core concepts of the science of mind and spirit, which is this underlying philosophy of this community. And so we talked about the first one, which was God is all there is. God is all there is. Number 2 is there is a threefold nature. And let's put that slide up. So Reverend Madeline talked to you about that last week. And this is a stained glass window from a church in Oakland, which is another representation of our teaching symbol. So this is the teaching symbol representing the threefold nature of God: spirit, soul, and body. Or it could be described as the seed, the soil, and the plant. And it also could be described as idea and law and form. And if you want more information about that, I suggest that you get the CD of last week's talk, because Reverend Madeline went into that. But it really is saying that everything begins as an idea. Everything begins as a thought. And when we think something consistently over time with emotion, there is a universal law that takes that consciousness, that takes that emotion, that takes that idea, and brings together all of the resources, all of the circumstances, and everything that makes it happen. And that can be either good or bad, because it doesn't know good or bad. The dirt doesn't care whether you're planting turnips or tulips. The law doesn't care what the emotion is. If the emotion is fear, it doesn't recognize that that's a bad thing. It just recognizes strong emotion with an idea. And so we can sometimes bring our fears to pass. So the bottom line here is to be aware of what we're thinking. You know, we've got all this stuff going on in our head with all of these little voices about what could happen, what happened in the past, what could happen in the future. We're worrying about what's going to go on today, and we've got all of these voices running at us all the time. Unless we've practiced thinking about what we're thinking about, putting our awareness on our awareness. So the third concept of this science, of the science of mind, is that at the universal level, we talk about it at the universal level and at the individual human level. And at the universal level, the concept is that the word of or thought of God eternally initiates the divine creative process. So when we're looking at this symbol, there is a V there. And the V is the thought going through the law and into form. Now at the universal level, there is no doubt, there is no worry, there is no fear. There is just the universe has an idea and it comes into form. When I'm thinking about this, when I think about the universal, I think about those pictures from the Hubble telescope of the pillars of creation from the Eagle Nebula. It's a huge cloud of cosmic dust 4 light years high. 4 light years high. Every time I think about that, it's like, my mind goes, I blow my own mind. Because, 4 light years high And stars are coming out of it. Boink, boink, boink. That's creation at the universal level. At the human level, we reenact the divine creative process. Our thoughts create our experience, and our experience is what we have in our life. There is stuff happening out there, but our life is about our experience of what's happening out there. So when we say our treatments, when we say our prayers, some of us were taught to say, I speak my word. So we are saying, my thought with intention is the word of creation. And so the words that I speak are words of creation. They are the word of God in and through and as me. When I'm doing prayer, I am consciously intending a divine experience. So we have these beautiful examples of people intending divine experiences on the wall. Because the only thing we can really change is our experience, right? Stuff happens. We can change our experience. We can change our word about that experience. We can change our word to reflect the world that we want to see rather than the world we are experiencing. I want to see a world where George Zimmerman would invite Trayvon Martin to have a ride home, and where Trayvon Martin would share his Skittles with George Zimmerman. That is the world I want to see. And so I have to hold that intention, and I have to know that this whole experience is good because it's starting a conversation that needs to happen. It's starting a conversation that allows all of us to look within and see if there's any of that profiling and racism or anything like that going on in our own mind, because if there is, then we're part of the problem. And so we need to work within. It's not all about what's going on out here. It all starts in consciousness. It starts with our own thought. It starts with our own mind. As the Master Teacher Jesus said, it is done unto you as you believe. So what are we believing about anything that happens in the world? Reverend Noel McGinnis says, I don't always get what I pray for, but I always get what I pray from. I don't always get what I pray for, but I always get what I pray from. And by that he means, what is my consciousness? Where am I coming from in this prayer? Am I coming from fear? Am I coming from blame? Am I coming from judgment? Or am I coming from love? Am I coming from oneness? So it really asks us to feel into what's really going on with us, because we're the source of whatever our experience is. So we're talking about the Word, and of course they said in John, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was God. So our word, coupled with emotion, has great power. Emma Curtis Hopkins says, first, if you have an idea, first you think it, and then you speak it, and then you act on it. When I was up in Seattle, Reverend Kathy Ann Lewis, who's a great devotee of Emma Curtis Hopkins, said she invites us to think it, to write it down, because sometimes when we write it down, we can get a better look at it and refine it a little bit. We can refine that thought, and then we speak it, and then we act on it. Reverend Madeline talked last week about the care structure that we're implementing, and I talked about the completion of the training that we just had. The impetus for this whole thing is our own foundational scripture, which is in your bulletin every week. And it says, "Behold how good and joyful a thing it is, beloved, to gratefully dwell together in love and unity." So the care structure is about starting small circles of connection so that everybody has an intimate circle where they can share and be vulnerable and be connected to other people and be supported by other people. Because we are the eyes, the ears, the hands, the feet of God expressing. And so as we come together in these small circles, there is a power in this connection, in connecting deeply with one another. I know that's happening already in the Way of Mastery group and in the Course in Miracles group. I know that it's happening in the Way of Mastery because I know someone in that group who lost one of her sons this week. And she is feeling supported by that group. I asked her if there was anything I could do, and she said, "No, I'm getting a lot of support from the Way of Mastery." And so when we have a group of friends who have explored deeply spiritual principle and are supporting each other in love and wholeness, there is a magic that happens. Scott Peck said, "There can be no vulnerability without risk. There can be no community without vulnerability. There can be no peace and ultimately no life without community." So although we have this community on Sunday mornings, you know, we hug each other, we talk to each other, we share a few things about what's going on, but we don't get into that deepness. Now we do in a class for 8 weeks or 10 weeks. We go deep. We explore the principles and how they apply to our lives. We practice the principles in our life and see what's going on and share that experience with each other. But after 8 weeks or 10 weeks, that's over. And so what we would like is ongoing groups of people who are supporting each other to explore these principles and to practice them on an ongoing basis, so that we have that deeper sense of community and that deeper sense of sharing. This is not about, you know, growing the church. It's about deepening community. If growing the church is an outgrowth, we'll accept that. But the purpose right now is really to deepen in community, to really connect with each other. But there was a discussion at our board meeting this week about, you know, we're not seeing as many people in the seats, and, you know, is it just summer, or what's going on? Is there a feeling of sort of unease or not knowing what's going to happen, or how this care circle structure is going to affect us, and all this kind of stuff? And so the question is, let's talk about that. Let's talk about that. I've gotten a lot of conversations recently where, you know, people invite me for a social connection, and I get to spend an hour listening to what's wrong with what's going on here and how we need to make it better. And I appreciate that input. I really do. And I'm open to all kinds of ideas. There are people who say, we need a junior church. This building is inadequate because we need a junior church. We need more rooms. We need more classrooms. We need more classrooms. Then there's we need more seats for people. We need to get rid of the bookstore and spread things out. We need to have a better kitchen. We need to have more potlucks. We don't have an adequate fellowship hall. You know, okay. And it's like, Yes, that's true. It would be nice if we had all of those things. And we can all say what we would like to have. But first we have to praise what we do have. So first we're accepting with praise this center that we have right now. Because it is ours. We don't have a mortgage on it. We own it. So it gives us a place to begin. 7 years ago, when this building was purchased, it was purchased as what was considered a temporary thing because people who bought it knew it wasn't going to be adequate, but it was a step in the right direction. At that time when the market was going crazy, it was thought, we better get in on this thing before it goes even more crazy. And so we bought this building. And so I've been here 5 years. We've been having services here since 2008. And so we have evolved some things, we've learned a lot, and we're open for that greater building. But before we can have a building in form, we have to have a building in consciousness. And before we can have a building in consciousness, we have to have a community that is agreed on what it is we want. So I know that as these circles start, and as we come together in a deeper sense of community, that we can start to have this conversation in all of our circles, and we can come up with a vision that we can all uphold and support, and that vision will guide us into the future. That when we have a strong vision, it pulls us. I went down to see Mary Mann and Morrissey in June, and she talks about dream building. And the first phase of dream building is dreaming the dream. So we dream the dream. And when we're dreaming the dream, what we ask ourselves is, does this dream make me feel alive? Does it excite me? Does it give me a full body yes? Is my head and my heart and my gut, are they all in alignment on this vision? Will it require that I grow? Because visions really do require that we grow. Is the dream worthy of us? Is it big enough that we can all grow and all stretch? Does it align with our core values? Does it express more of who we are? Do I need help from a higher power because I have no idea how to do this? Then it's a worthy vision. Is there good in this dream for others? Is there good in this dream for others? Has anybody here had their life transformed by these teachings? Okay, so if we want more people to experience transformation and oneness, we have to let them know we're here. So is there good in this dream for others? So this is our blueprint stage. The blueprint stage then goes into bridging. This is where we turn up the volume on our curiosity. We're not condition-based. We're holding that vision and we're sort of looking for what's going on. Now, when I say it's not condition-based, I'm talking about a story that Mary Mann and Morrissey told about a woman who started a coffee shop in Portland, Oregon called Rimsky-Corsa Coffee. And it is a coffee and dessert place. And it is set up for people to have conversation. They have classical music there, and they set up things so that people can have conversation. So the music is always either piped or acoustic, so you can have a conversation, but the music is part of the atmosphere. And people loved it so much, it was just packed all the time. And she thought, I'd love to have deeper conversations. I think I'll look for a hotel where people could stay for a couple of days and we could have an ongoing conversation. And so she had that vision of having a hotel, that had a restaurant where people can get together and have conversations. And so she had that vision, she held that vision, she looked around, and she looked around, and she found the hotel. It's called the Sylvia Beach Hotel in Newport, Oregon. And so she went to the bank. Nope, no way. She went to the bank 28 times. No way. The 29th time, she got the loan. So it's about persistence. It's about holding on to that dream regardless of what's going on. Saying, who cares? I don't care if 28 banks have said no. I heard a story that Walt Disney went to like hundreds of banks to try to get the loan for Disneyland. And he was turned down and turned down and turned down. Finally, somebody gave him. But he held that vision. He knew what he was doing. And he knew that if he could get it going, it was going to happen. Same thing with this owner of the Sylvia Beach Hotel. And the restaurant is called the Table of Contents. And it has seating for 6 or 8. So if you go there by yourself, you were going to be seated at a table of 6 or 8, and you were going to be involved in conversation. So we're in the same kind of place. We have a vision. And we've started acting on that. We've started speaking about that vision, and now we've started acting on that vision. And what we know is that vision, which is joyfully expanding beloved community through deep care and connection for all. Joyfully expanding beloved community through deep care and connection for all. This idea is what enlivens us. Deep care and connection for all. So that everybody has, this feeling of connection, this feeling of loving support. How did Christianity spread? How did it go in 300 years to overtake the Roman Empire? People joined Christianity because they could see how much they loved one another. It was the love, seeing that this group of people loved one another. And that is what I want to see, is that we have a group of people who love one another. So the question really is, are we willing? Are we willing to shift, to change? We all know how comfortable we all are with change, right? Fold your arms. Fold your arms. Now fold them the other way, with the other arm on top. Feels weird, doesn't it? Don't know how to do that. Don't know how to do that. So it's not easy, but it's wonderful. It's not easy, but it's empowering. It's not easy, but it's perfect because we don't know how to do it. We're taking it one step at a time. We don't know how to do it because we know that Spirit knows how to do it. The Universal Ways and Means Committee is in charge of this process. Yeah, and so we're going forward with it. We're going forward with this idea of the beloved community. So I want to share with you right now the guiding principles and definition that we read to our leaders last Tuesday night. We, the leadership of the Sierra Center for Spiritual Living, always begin with what is absolute and definite. God is. God is the one presence, the one mind, the one love, the totality of life. We are one with God, not just as an idea, but as a reality from which we live, move, create, inspire, and lead. Sierra Center leaders are led by Spirit, allowing being to inspire doing, and trusting God as the source, supply, and sufficiency of our vision and prosperity. Our commitment begins with self-care, emanates from wholeness, and overflows in service to the Sierra Center community and ultimately the world. We lead from love and are grounded in a field of truth and stay committed to serving the one. We celebrate diversity, honor the unique gifts and talents of all, and reveal inherent good, greatness, and infinite potential in everyone. Sierra leaders are dedicated to authenticity and spiritual practice, including prayer, meditation, forgiveness, gratitude, visioning, service, and tithing. Spiritual practice is the foundation that inspires us to walk the talk, to give and receive outrageous support, and to become access points for the divine to use us, move through us, and inspire others to spirit-infused action. Very simply, Sierra Center leaders anchor, hold, inspire, and serve. In deep gratitude for the sacred yes, we let go and let God guide us, use us, and show up as us to manifest our highest mission. We are conduits of divine love, awakening and expanding consciousness for a world that truly works for everyone. And so it is.